Para ipakita ang tunay na estado ng ating bansa, ilahad ang mga pinakabagong balita at pangyayari sa ating bayan. Ipaalam sa taong bayan ang katotohanan at ipaliwanag ang mga hakbang na ginagawa ng pamahalaan upang manatiling payapa at maiangat ang pamumuhay ng bawat Pilipino. Mula sa Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, ito ang Talk to the People.
The next is General Centino, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Sir, I cannot hear you.
Mr. President, sir,
Ayan. Okay.
Senator Go, Executive Secretary Medial Dea, Cabinet members, fellow government workers, good evening to everyone. Maayong gabi sa tanan. This evening, I will be presenting the updates of the HADR or the Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief Operations currently done by the armed forces, your armed forces of the Philippines in typhoon-affected areas. And my presentation will follow this sequence. On the resources deployed, the next slide, please. Next slide. The AFP has already deployed a total of 9,079 personnel in the 5 regions affected by the typhoon in the areas covered by Visayas Command, Eastern Mindanao Command, and Western Command of the AFP. Our personnel were immediately deployed in order to help in the prevention, mitigation, and response operations before, during, and after the typhoon. We have, aside from the personnel deployed, we have also deployed about 28 Philippine Navy assets already, and 30 Philippine Air Force assets, and 769 land assets to provide assistance in the delivery and transport of relief goods, supplies, equipment, and personnel in these affected areas. On the summary of our transport missions, next slide please. Since we started our HADR operations, we have already used our air and sea assets to deliver a total of 522,675 kilos of supplies by air and about 4.1 million kilos of supplies and cargoes in 97 sorties by sea. Likewise, a total of 4.8 million kilos of relief goods were transported by land using our, next slide please, using our 769 trucks and vehicles on land. Next slide. We have also utilized our assets in the transport of 1,000, next slide. We have also utilized our assets in the transport of 1,514 stranded individuals by sea and 667 individuals by air. Also, we have support from our stakeholders. The Philippine Air Force was able to tap the services of its affiliated reserve units like AirAsia and Philippine Airlines to help us in the transport of a total of 17,000 kilos of cargoes. Likewise, the Philippine Navy also tapped its affiliated reserve units. The sea vessel Gladiolus also helped out in the transport of a total of 277,000 kilos of cargoes. Likewise, the partnership of the AFP with some shipping lines facilitated the transport of relief goods to affected areas. Next slide. The AFP also activated the CMCC, or the Civil Military Coordination Center. This is a facility activated during crisis and emergency situation, which coordinates with government agencies, non-government organizations, and even international humanitarian communities to ensure the delivery of donated goods. As a result of the establishment of the Civil Military Coordination Center, next slide please, we were able to facilitate receiving over 8 million kilos of relief goods from 460 donors. Next slide. During our HADR operations, we would also like to report, Mr. President, sir, that we were able to put into use our newly acquired assets. The Philippine Navy frigate BRP Jose Rizal, acquired last year, was shifted from security operations to humanitarian missions to assist in the delivery of relief goods to Palawan. They have already performed 2 sorties and facilitated the transport of 78,000 kilos of relief goods. Also, the newly acquired Philippine Air Force Black Hawk helicopters, acquired last year, were used during the initial rapid damage assessments, in the rescue of typhoon victims, and the transport of personnel and the delivery of relief goods in over 249 sorties. Next slide. Also, the newly acquired Philippine Army KM-250 trucks we have procured from South Korea were also deployed to Leyte and Surigao to transport 144,000 kilos of relief goods. Further, the newly acquired Philippine Army engineering equipment, such as graders, dozers, and backhoes, were also deployed in areas in Bohol to support the conduct of road clearing operations in these areas. For our other HADR operations, next slide, the AFP also deployed the mobile kitchen, and so far it has provided food to about 24,000 beneficiaries in Cebu City. This facility is a truck which can prepare meals for over 1,000 persons every meal. Next slide. We also deployed carpentry teams in areas affected by the typhoon to repair damaged houses. The BRP Ang Pangulo was also converted as a floating hospital, complete with medical teams, personnel, to Siargao Island to provide medical assistance. And so far, over 1,600 patients have been provided with the medical service. Next slide. We also deployed a contingent of Philippine Marines to Cebu City. And as of today, they are still continuing their support to Visayas Command in the hauling of and the transport of relief goods. Next slide. The Army engineers were also deployed to provide engineering support in the clearing of debris and the clearing of roads immediately after the onslaught of the typhoon, and even until today, they are still in the area providing engineering support. We also deployed our signal personnel to provide communication support. Nagbigay po tayo ng free internet connectivity and cell phone charging to the public in areas where there is still no electricity. And the AFP also deployed medical teams to provide immediate medical assistance to those affected by the typhoon. Next. The AFP was also able to provide mobile water tanks para magkaroon po tayo ng potable waters to those still not able to get drinking waters. Next slide. The AAP also facilitated the transport of equipment and supplies of utility companies for them to restore the electricity and communication requirements of affected areas. Likewise, we were able to provide for transportation assistance to other government agencies like the medical teams of the DOH, the communication teams of the ICT, and the construction teams of TESDA. Next. Further, we also provided transportation support to DILG, DSWD, and DND officials to ensure the efficient distribution of financial and other assistance to those affected by the typhoon. Sir, we would like to report also that our units also suffered damages during the typhoon, and these are the areas in Surigao del Norte. We have the brigade headquarters of the 901st Brigade, the 30th Infantry Battalion, the 36th Infantry Battalion, and 29th Infantry Battalion. These are the areas in Caraga region. And on the slide also shown is the damaged littoral monitoring station we have in Surigao City, where some equipment were also damaged. These pictures shown here are the Philippine Air Force hangars in Mactan and Palawan, badly hit by the typhoon. Next slide. And some of the assets and equipment that were also damaged during the typhoon. We have one Bell 412, one C295, and one C130 na tamaan ng when the hangars collapsed. For a way ahead, sir, the AAP will continue to assist in the distribution of financial assistance to affected communities in coordination with DILG, DSWD, and the PNP. We will also be continuing our efforts to transport food and non-food items, supplies, medicines, and essential equipment, utilizing our available assets. We will also be continuing the repair of damaged equipment and facilities. And in coordination with the OCD, we will be preparing for the transition to recovery and rehabilitation phase. We will also be continuing our assistance to the Office of the Civil Defense in the distribution of potable and bottled water to areas stricken by diarrhea. And of course, aside from the HADR efforts that we're doing, we will be continuing our coordination with the Philippine National Police and the COMELEC in preparations for the coming elections. Next slide. While we have increased the deployment of our personnel in typhoon-affected areas, we would like to assure the President, sir, that we still have sufficient forces deployed in other parts of the country to perform the mandate of the AFP, which is to secure our communities from insurgents and terrorists. In fact, just recently, our operations resulted to the neutralization of Minandro Villanueva, aka Bok. He is the longest-serving, he was the longest-serving secretary of the Southern Mindanao Regional Committee and the commander of National Operations Command of the CPP-NPA. We also would like to report that Nuruddin Hassan, he is the head of the DI Hassan Group, responsible for the bus bombing in Alyusan, Cotabato. He was also neutralized 4 days after the incident. And we also have still, we would like to report also, sir, that we have sufficient forces to be deployed in checkpoints in coordinations with the COMELEC and the PNP. Next slide. Sir, that ends our presentation. Dagang salamat. Maayong gabi, sir.
Uh, General, I was on the ground about 2 days after the typhoon, or was it the day after? Nakita ko yung mga sundalo at yung Philippine Navy and Air Force, all of them participating in the relief operations and helping the people move about, those with no house, because the houses were really destroyed. And I would like to reiterate that in behalf of the people of the Philippines, I would like to commend and salute the AFP for their toil. It was really not. It was a toil to be there, helping everybody. And so, with the added feather in the cap of neutralizing the communist leaders, for the longest time, yung was the COVID. The Mindanao is the yung overall umbrella ng NPA. What the AFP achieved was to neutralize them. It was the longest time the leader. And the operations of the NPA here in Mindanao. So, salamat for all of these achievements so far that you have gathered throughout the it's a never-ending job for you hanggang ngayon. But nagpapasalamat ang tao at ako mismo nagpapasalamat rin. Keep up the good work, and you have my sinapi salute also. Salamat, sir.
Salamat po, sir.
Yung Bisaya po na, no, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yung pod, gamit yung mag-pod. Salamat pod, sir. Ang Ilocano pwede rin, no? I can guess by the use of the dialect. What's taga saan ka, sir? If I may ask.
From Cebu, sir.
But that's alam mo, sir, sa totoo lang, walang ano ito, ha? Plain talk lang, factual. Alam mo, ang sundalo sa Pilipinas is Ilocano, pati Ilonggo. They comprise yung tribe na wala ang bihira, sir, Bisaya. Wala ako masyadong nakitang sundalo na Bisaya. Siguro, sabi nila, tapos na yung trabaho namin kay Lapu-Lapu. Tama na yun. Ibigay mo na si mga Ilonggo pa sa Ilocano. Sila yung natin, totoo. Magpapasalamat tayo sa mga Ilocano, sundalo, pati Ilonggo. They bear the brunt of, the burden of fighting the enemies of the state. Totoo yan. Maraming sundalo, Ilocano at kaya naman, karamihan ng mga generals, halos yung member ng cabinet ko, a good number of them are Ilocanos. Magtaka ka, General Lorizana, DND, sundalo man yan siya. At valedictorian pa. Sabi ni Pastor Kibuloy, sa bunganga talaga niya, pinagmamalaki ni Pastor yan na naging classmate ko yan Maraming Ilocano speaking ang North Cotabato, yung Sultan Kudarat, pati Puro Ilocano yan. Sa noon, simple, North Cotabato, Ilocano yan. Pagdating mo sa boundary dyan sa, Mlang, puro Ilonggo na naman yan. Yun ang mga settlers noong unang panahon. Ang mga Bisaya dyan sa Davao region, Davao City. Pero ang, pagsasaan ka, magtagalog ka, okay lang. Maintindihan ka sa lahat. Pati yung mga Moro, marunong magtagalog yan. Hirap sa Bisaya yan. Pero magkatabi sila ha. Pero magtagalog ka, okay. Maintindihan ka. Nakita mo dyan sa mga sundalo. Hindi naman sa sinasabi ko sa inyo kung bakit sabi ko si Duterte inuna yung mga sundalo. Kita mo naman trabaho ng sundalo. Trabaho ba ng sundalo yung kinakarga o what is that picture? Who is that guy portrayed in the picture? Medyo nire-rescue siguro. Ang utility worker ito mga sundalo. Yan. Bagyo. Baha. Sunog. Landslide. Away. Kanila yan. Pag wala ka mang ma-mobilize mga ganitong biglaan there's a lot of people to be assisted. Sundalo lang talaga yan. Ang matawag mo na para tumulong. Na hindi magsabi hindi. Yung iba mo, kapo yan. Hindi namin trabaho yan. Sundalo, police to a certain extent. Pero may mga itong police medyo kailangan depende sa CEO nila, kanilang superior. Pag mag-stricto yung superior or the commanding general or the station commander, lalo na sa taas. Pag yung nasa taas sa police malinis, sigurado mo pababa yan malinis. But if the head happens to be a corrupt officer, down below, corruption malakas. Alam ba ninyo kung bakit? Hindi ko inaano yung police. Hindi kasing, well, I do not want to sabihin, nagpapabor ako. But kukulang talaga ng discipline itong police. Kasi sila yung may police power. Una na mag-arrest, mag-ganon. So, maraming trabaho na sometimes can be the source of or always corruption. Mga gambling, basta may illegal, malapit ang pulis dyan. Pero pag ang head ng PNP hindi corrupt, down the line, hindi yan, mag-iwas yan. Pero ganun pa man, may mga, but overall, actually, ang police, I am satisfied. Magtatapos na ako ng term ko for the so many years that I have been their commander-in-chief. Okay ang performance, except for a few. There would always be bad eggs. Basta an organization na ganung kalawak, meron talagang skalawag. Initially, yun sila asyerto na nagtatago, naghihintay na lang yan na mawala ako sa pwesto. Ako naman, sinasabi ko sa kanila, sige, magharap tayo. Galit man kayo sa akin. Hintayin ninyo ako na hindi na ako presidente. At anytime, wala akong problema. Name your game, maglaro tayo. Yan lang rin ang ano ko. Hindi mo ako matakot, sabihin mo, kayo mawala na sa pwesto pa. Ako kung ano yung panindigan ko, yun na yun. Hindi yun magano. Kaya ako nag-presidente because I wanted that time my country freed from itong mga ganito. So, hindi naman ako nagkulang siguro. But overall, ang performance lalo ng armed forces, pati ang police, with a few exception. Kasi mahirap mag-ano talaga sa in every community maghanap ka. Nandiyan talaga yung corruption sa police. That is why hindi naman lahat. Pero that's the reason why I said itong PNP was corrupt to the core. So, sabi ko nga, itong druga, sabi ko in 6 months time, kasi sa Davao, nilinis ko 6 months time. Pagdating ko sa Maynila, ang kalaban ko, 6 na generals na sa druga, Jesus Maria Josep. Akala ko, ang kalaban ko, mga drogista, mga lahat kriminal, mamili ka. Hindi ko alam na ang kalaban ko mismo, ang gobyerno ko, customs, lahat. Ayan, kaya ko pinalitan. Kaya ko magalit naman kayo, nag-iintriga, but kagaya ko, si Guerrero sa army yan, sundalo yan, okay ang performance. Lorenzana, Galvez, Anyo, wala ka talaga, karamihan sa cabinet, kalahati ng cabinet members ko, sundalo. Tingnan Boracay, kung ilang presidente na dumaan ito. Kung hindi ko sinabihan si Roy Simato sa DNR, general yan, pati si General Anyo, kasi somebody has to deal with itong mga local officials na who were opposing or resisting the changes that they would like to do. Pero sabi ko, sundalo pinadala ko, pero retired. Alam ko kaya nila. Oh, sige. O kita mo Boracay, di malinis na. Hindi ako nakapunta diyan. Hindi ako nakaligo. Pero marami bang magaganda doon? Maligo na ako pagkatapos ko. Huwag ngayon kasi may marami silang sabihin. Maraming intriga. Tapos a singular feat, a feat that F-E-A-T, a feat that was done. Itong Dolomite Park ni Simato. Alam ko, kayong mga cabinet members, do you remember sinabi ko, in a cabinet meeting, I'm letting you in. Doon si itong mabaho sa likod ng grandstand. Sinabi ko kay General Simato, Roy, kilala ko yan kasi ano yan sila sa Mindanao. Lahat yan sila dumaan ng Mindanao. Kaya kilala ko. Sabi ko, Roy, kaya mo ba linisin ang Manila? Sabi niya, kung yan ang utos mo, sir, gawin ko. Marami sila ngayon. Baski sabihin nila, Dolomite lang yan. At least it's clean. People can go there having a fresh breath from itong exhaust fumes sa sakyan. It's terrible, but people can do it. Paski hangin na lang ang makuha nila, malinis na hangin. Yan ang history ng basta may gusto kang madalian. Kagaya nitong COVID, nung pumutok, so form a task force. But in-stress ko na si Galvez lang, the only one who can procure. Kasi hindi naman sa in fairness to kay department, I really wanted a one line para sigurado at walang corruption. So I choose Charlie Galvez. O kita mo ngayon. Ewan ko lang kung pinadala ko sa iba yan ba. Ako dapat isang tao lang eh. Ako isang tao lang, basta kilala ko. I am praising the military because they deserve it. I am praising the police with a few exception. Sana naman yung exception hindi matabla doon sa karamihan na iwan. Pagka malinis yung CO nila dyan, malinis yan. Pag ang CO magsabi, wala. Mayor ako, walang checkpoint. Alisin mo yan. Dito, alisin mo. Then sabi, second is, I do not want policemen to be seen in public drinking, whether you are in uniform or in civilian clothes. Do not drink outside. Do it sa bahay ninyo. Para pag malasing kayo na lang magbarilan. Hindi na yung civilian. Ano yan eh. Ang tao pag turpi ang utak dahil sa alcohol, mahirap yan. Kaya pinagbawal ko yan. Ito namang maskara, sabi ko sa mga pulis, ayaw kitang gusto makita, magsugal. So hirap sila. Yung mga sugarol talaga. Kaya if there is somebody ayaw nilang matapos itong COVID, gusto nila patagalan for the longest time, gusto nila yan. Kaya ang mga buang magmaskara, mag-cap lang, cap na, tapos magmaskara nito. Tapos magbili ng yung pinagbibili sa sidewalk na murang shades. Mag-shades lang, mag-cap, pati magmaskara, pasok sa sapungan, hindi mo nakita. Hindi naman ako pumapasok ng sabungan. Pero ang police happy sa COVID. May cover sila. May cover. Yan. Yan ang totoo dyan. Yung mga skalawag. Pero at least medyo ngayon, disiplinado sila. Walang yung police na abusado na magbubugbog, pag malasing, magpaputok, magbaril, Wala. Kasi sigurado, pag pinaputok yung Armalite mo, puntahan kita, palo ko yun sa ulo mo. Ilang beses gano'n Bago may sabi ko, ano yun? New Year. Sabi ko, tinawagan ko ang police. Sabi ko, saan yung putok? Dito lang malapit sa barracks sa trading. Sino ang nagpaputok? Ang tanong ko niya, policer, birthday niya, magpasingaw ng, sabi ko, sige. Pinuntahan ko talaga sa bahay niya. So, ikaw ang nagpaputok. Sir, birthday ko, sir. Saan yung Armalite mo? Nahihiyan ang inampas ko sa ulo niya. Sinabi na kasi mula noon nawala yung malasing magputok-putok. Tahimik. Ganon. It's not nice. It could even be illegal. But yung fabric ng society natin talaga. May mga tao na may mga Pilipino na sinasabi ng wag, gagawin pa rin. Yun ang ano bang recent na sinabi kong wag mong gawin, wag ninyong gawin. Tapos ginagawa pa rin. Kaya lang naman, kung hindi dahil sa pamilya, maawa ako. Yung pamilya naman ng pulis na binubugbog yung asawa, nalasing, hindi na nagbibigay ng sustinto yung sildo niya doon sa kabit, pinsan dyan sa Sugalan. Bakit umiyak kasi bugbog ang muka, pasa dito, pasa doon. Sabi ko, tawagin mo nga yung pulis. Pagdating ng pulis, sabi ko, anong ginawa sa iyo? Dito, Mayor. Dito banda, sinipa ako. Nang ina ka. Tapos, ano pa? Tinadyakan ako dito, Mayor. Ayan, putang inang pulis. Tapos, naganahan ako, pinaspasan ko na, Tapos, hey, Mayor. Oh, bakit? Huwag mo baka mamatay. O sabi mo kanina, gusto mo patayin yung asawa mo, ngayon pipigil ka. Sabi ko, basta sino yung mga asawa na pulis sa Davao na hindi nagbibigay ng sweldo, tawag ko talaga. Ano gusto mo? Sulatan ko ang isusumpindi kita o mag-behave ka. Ganon yan. Ngayon, mataas na sweldo ng pulis. Lahat, pati military. Alam ko, kulang talaga ang sweldo. Kasi nga, patagal ako mayor. Kaya yun ang inuna ko. Kasi minsan magsabi, maghingi, may mag-report, maghingi. Sabi ko, sir, kulang talaga, sir. Kasi may ilang anak mo, 4, sir, Sus Maria Josep. Kaya pala, tapos, sabayan mo pa ng sabong. Hindi mo mapagsabihan yung minsan there are rules made to be followed and yet some people just continue. I'm talking about government tayo, mga tao natin. O minsan pati civilian. Kaya hindi mo madala ng investigar. Yung mga ganun, makita mo naman anong ginawa sa asawa, patikmin mo, magtikim ka rin sa kaguhan mo. Ganun ang history ng... Pero, pag landslide, ang unang tinatawag, pulis, walang tulog yan. Pati army, yung the nearest detachment o yan, tinatawag ka agad. Yan ang trabaho nila. Kaya, pagka DFW performing, love the police. Huwag din yung military. Hindi man yung utang na loob kasi trabaho nila. Basta sabihin mo huwag magtrabaho yan. So, ako, as I said, in behalf of the Filipino people, would like to commend and salute the armed forces for their tireless toil during times of need, time of crisis, and a time to help your fellow men. Yan ang ating, sa totoo lang. That's the Philippine experience sa ating police pati military. I don't know about other countries what they do. But yung first responder talaga, is not the first responder. Yung totoong responder, una doong mag-respond on the ground immediately yung police, yung precinct commander, station commander, sila yung mauna. Hindi na maghintay. Pag sinabi, tulong kayo, tulong yan. So yan ang pahaba ang istorya ko kasi yung lahat dito wala na. Puro no presentation. Si Delphine wala, si Dison wala.
President,
Sino?
ako po, SND. Konti lang Mayor, update lang dun sa utos mo.
Sorry ha, wala ka dito dito no presentation. Go ahead. We would be happy to hear you. Sige, Del.
Mr. President, good evening.
Good evening,
Kung
sir.
matandaan po ninyo, nung nakaraang linggo, ay napag-usapan yung kulang ng materials na pang-repair at saka pag-company ng mga bahay ng mga nasalanta. At iminungkahi ko na kailangan natin ng portable sawmills. So, ako po nagtanong-tanong at napag-alaman ko na yung DENR ay mayroong 7 bandso na nakumpiska nila sa mga illegal loggers. Nandito po lahat yun sa Manila at kinukumpuni lang nila at pagkatapos niya ay ipapahiram nila sa armed forces para madala po doon sa South. Meron din silang 3 woodmiser. Ito po yung another kind of sawmill na pwede rin nilang ipahiram sa AFP para madala sa South. Si Secretary La Peña naman, Mr. President, yung mga tao niya ay nakapag-company ng maliit na sawmill din na pangputol lang ng mga kahoy gawa sa mga local materials. Ang sabi ko sa kanya ay kung pwede niyang i-costing yon para ibigay po sa akin. Yung pong malalaking yung mga mini sawmill na sinabi ko sa nauna, wala pong available dito sa atin ngayon, galing pa po sa labas at kailangan pang orderin. Yun lang po, Mr. President.
So, gamitin ninyo, Del, yung lahat
Yes, sir.
na kumpiska.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They are instruments of the crime forfeited by government. Gamitin natin. Mga illegal yan eh.
Oh, Mr. President.
Sige, tama yan. You made the correct decision. Nasa likod mo ako.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So the last presentation would be si Cabinet Secretary. You have something to say. Sige. Go ahead.
Maayong gabi, Mr. President, ES,
Go ahead.
Medjaldea, Senator Bongo, mga kaubanan nato sa gabinete, fellow government workers, mga kababayan. Ituloy ko lang, Mr. President, ang report natin sa taong bayan sa mga accomplishments ng mga ahensya sa ilalim ng Office of the President. Isa po dito yung NHCP, ang National Historical Commission of the Philippines, na meron po mga tungkulin katulad ng commemoration ng significant historical events, declaration ng historically significant sites, structures, personages, pati restoration, conservation, and protection ng country's historical objects, pati pag-manage and maintain and administer of the national shrines, monuments, historical sites, and landmarks. Malaga na ang bawat Pilipino, siyempre, ay may pagmamahal sa bansa. Ito ay napupukaw tuwing maalala natin at nang dahil sa kaalaman po natin tungkol sa mahalagang yugto sa ating kasaysayan. Kabilang nito ang kabayanihan ng ating mga ninuno na naghangad ng kalayaan para sa bansa. So, isa sa mga sinusulong ng National Historical Commission of the Philippines, siyempre yung mga infrastructure projects katulad nitong restoration ng mga historical structures natin. Isang halimbawa yung conversion into a museum ng old provincial jail sa Sorsogon. Kabilang din po dito yung restoration ng Bacon Church and Belfry sa Sorsogon City, ang rehabilitation ng Emilio Aguinaldo Shrine sa Kawit, Cavite, ang rehabilitation ng Pamintuan Mansion or Museo ng Kasaysayang Panlipunan ng Pilipinas sa Angeles City, and restoration of 430 historical objects. Kabilang na dito ang La Justicia Mural, ang Pigafetta, ang Magellan Memorial Monuments, and the material characterization ng La Intendencia Building. Speaking of the La Intendencia Building, next slide, sa Intramuros, ito po yung project ng NHCP in collaboration ng National Archives of the Philippines. Ang pag-restore nitong Intendencia Building ay later on gagamitin ng National Archives bilang central office nila at repository ng Spanish period collections. Isa ring iconic landmark sa Maynila ay yung restoration ng Metropolitan Theater sa Ermita, Manila. Itong Metropolitan Theater, again, project ng NHCP in collaboration naman with the National Commission for Culture and the Arts or NCCA. Completely restored na po ito, Mr. President. Next slide. After being closed down for 25 years, the Metropolitan Theater has been fully restored, renovated, and reopened in October of last year. Ang pinakaunang major stage production was the Lapu-Lapu, ang Dato ng Mactan, produced by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts and the NHCP, kabilang sa Quincentennial Celebration of the Philippines and the Year of the Filipino Pre-Colonial Ancestors. Nag-streaming po sila ng live nito, FB Live, last October 24 last year. At kabilang na rin siguro, dahil nung adjust ng Disyembre, kabilang na ito ng anibersaryo, no, ng MET. Kasi nung adjust ng Disyembre at hindi ginunita, ang ika-90 anibersaryo ng MET. Ang okasyong ito ay lalo pang nabigyan ng kabuluhan sa muli nitong pagbubukas at pagtatampok ng pagtatanghal. Next slide. Last year, 2021, was also the year of Filipino pre-colonial ancestors by virtue of Proclamation number 1128 series of 2021 na inyo pong nilagdaan, Mr. President. And as we commemorate this as the achievement of science and humankind in circumnavigating the planet for the first time. Ito po yung kabilang dito, syempre yung 500th anniversary ng victory of Lapu-Lapu in the Battle of Mactan last April 27, 2021. At marami pa pong iba under the 2021 Quincentennial Commemorations by virtue of Executive Order number 103 series of 2020 na inyo pong pinirmahan. Kabilang na rin ng Executive Orders number 55 and 103. Kaya nabuo yung National Quincentennial Committee led by the NHCP as the designated secretariat at yung NHCP chairman as executive director to lead the Quincentennial commemorations. Next slide. Other events noong 2021, of course, last August 30, 2021, in observance of National Heroes Day with the theme Kabayanihan ng Bawat Pilipino, Susi sa Tagumpay at Pagkamakatao. You were represented by Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea sa flag raising, sa wreath laying din ng Tomb of the Unknown Soldier sa Libigan ng mga Bayani. Pero nagpadala po kayo ng virtual message, Mr. President. Of course, we had several national events, multiple local events, and of course, milestone events last year, 2021. Kabilang yung 150th birth anniversary of Epifanio de los Santos, the 500th anniversary celebration of the victory of Mactan, the 200th birth anniversary of Jose Felipe del Pan, 150th birth anniversary ni Mamerto Natividad Jr., the 50th death anniversary of Carlos P. Garcia, and the 75th anniversary of the inauguration of the Third Republic. and the Philippine-American diplomatic relations. We also kick off the activities for the commemoration ng 150th death anniversary of Gombursa, which we will be commemorating this 2022. Next slide. While August was History Month celebration, we also joined our Southeast Asian neighbors in celebrating the 54th anniversary of the ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Next slide. And then of course, patuloy yung marking ng mga historical sites, personages, and events. For 2021, 39 were unveiled. Among the notable, yung Bantayog ng Gombursa, ang Simbahan ng Giwan, ang Limasawa, ang mga historical sites, personages, and events katulad nung kay Mactan, kay Lapu-Lapu, sa Panilongon, sa Simbahan ng Pulilan, ang Convention Constitutional ng 1971, Casa Real ng Lingayen, Manuel Quezon, Plaza Miranda, Simbahan ng Loon, at kay General Francisco Macabulos, at marami po pong iba. Next slide. The Commission also operates 27 historical sites all over the country as museums. Subalit dahil sa pandemya, bagamat sarado sa publiko ang karamihan ng mga museong ito, ay nag-upload online ang NHCP ng mga exhibits, nagsasponsor ng mga webinars at online lectures. All in all, 120 public programs, mostly nasa Facebook. And nagkaroon din ng celebration ng Museums and Galleries Month, showcasing the nation, shaping the Filipino imagination ang tema po nito. Next slide. And meron din po mga history publications na nakikita po natin dito. These other books on history, as well as books published in line with the quincentennial celebration. And next slide, last October, the Commission also celebrated its 88th founding anniversary. NHCP at 88, steadfast in history, resilient in challenges. Ang naging tema po nila. Remain steadfast kasi ang NHCP in its mandate amid the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, at syempre, resilient siya because it responds to the changing needs and expectations ng ating mga kababayan. So from marking significant historical sites, to preserving and restoring sites, objects, to maintaining shrines and landmarks, commemorating events, publishing research work, and approving seals and logos, patuloy ang pagserbisyo publiko ng NHCP. Sa gitna ng COVID-19, ang ating pagtugon sa COVID-19, makakaasa po kayo na patuloy na magtatrabaho po ang NHCP. Meron po silang maikling video to showcase the accomplishments ng inyong NHCP, Mr. President.
Alam mo, while I was campaigning, that would be so many years ago, campaigning for the presidency, napunta ako sa isang lugar. I am not, first of all, let me be very, very clear on this. I am not belittling Magellan because he has our respect. Yung statue niya. I do not mean to offend the sensitivities of some Cebuanos. I'm just also as a citizen of this country expressing my opinion. Noong nagkampanya ako for the presidency, I went to a place in Cebu and there was this statue of Magellan and Lapu-Lapu. Tanungin ko si Bong kasi kasama ko siya. Saan yun, Bong? O yung magkatabi sila yung nasa likod. Doon. Yung statue ni Magellan, mas malaki doon sa statue ni Lapu-Lapu. Kung hindi ko naman ano sa mga Cebuano, I respect whoever whose opinion or decision was that. But I am very uncomfortable ako to see a statue of Lapu-Lapu smaller than the statue of Magellan. Sabi ko, butit na lang nag-usap tayo nito. Sabi ko, pag ako ang na-presidente, palitan ko, di ba sinabi ko, doon sa there was a crowd. And I told them that if I make it to the presidency, I will see to it that the statue of Lapu-Lapu will be bigger than the statue of Magellan. I mean, no offense kay Magellan. I mean, he made it the trip from somewhere in Spain tapos or Mexico. Mexico na dating sa dyan in the shores of Limasawa. But he was they were trying to conquer the Philippines, on which they did satisfactorily for 9 years. They were able to succeed. But ito ngayon na generations, so many generations after, tayong Pilipino, hindi ako komportable na ganun ang sitwasyon. Pakinote mga dyan, Carlo. Let's, somebody sa historical commission, you just tell them that President has requested you to go there and try to look at the situation without offending the inhabitants there, or for that matter, the Cebuanos, of which I am, na tignan doon, ilang buwan na lang, pero mabigyan natin ng statua ni Magellan, na ni Lapu-Lapu, mas malaki or tabla kay Magellan. But it could not be. It should always be mas malaki ang kay Lapu-Lapu. Hindi naman malaki ang gastusin natin dyan. Simento man lang yun ata. Pero hindi talaga ako komportable. Nakita ko, sabi ko doon, there was a crowd in front of me. I was campaigning. Sabi ko, look, I do not like what I see. Wala akong sabihin kayo. But ang hero ko is Lapu-Lapu, not Magellan. Although, nire-respeto ko yung pagkatao niya, even if he's dead. Bakit ganon? He was an intruder into our country. Then he fought with Magellan. Believe naman ako kay Magellan. Ayun, alam mo, yung for his feet nga ako nga, of no means a walk in the park at that time, barko. Pero it's high time to, para sa akin, the visual of those statues, hindi ako komportable. Hindi naman ako galit. History yan. Wala ako. Hindi naman ako galit sa taong gumawa yan. But I think, ako as a Filipino, and presidente ako ngayon, and I said that kung ma-presidente ako, ito yung gawin ko. Magawain na lang natin, tapos mag-ano tayo ng pera. Lakihan natin ng konti. Yun yung mas malaki kay Magellan. Kasi hindi pwede ang pareho lang, ang maliit, ang national hero. Kaya kung ginawa niyang si Lapu-Lapu, it was during my time that I include him in the roles of our heroes of our country. I think he was the first one. It was the first hero, itong si Lapu-Lapu. Came ito mo, Celotes del Pilar, pumunta pa nga ako. There was one time na araw ng Kagitingan ba yun? I was not present at the Luneta. I went to yung ano mismo, yung where they were, yung lugar nila, where they were born and fought the battle. And there was a time, I think it was a second time, I went to Lanao del Sur, where the place where they executed Jose Abad Santos. Doon, pumunta ako doon sa libing niya. Medyo may kunting semento doon. But, nilinisan lang yun na sundalo kasi alam nila pupunta ako. Those are the, well, might not be a moral reinterrogation sa tao. But doon ako pumunta. And the last one was, I think, the hero of Tirad Pass. He was an Ilocano. Idol ko yun nung sa eskwelahan pa tayo. Tagal na kasi yung
Del Pilar.
Gregorio S. Del Pilar. Yeah, correct. Siya yung nakikita. He is depicted he was depicted in a parang ano niya nakasakay na kabayo with a sword in his hand. That is my mental picture of Gregorio. He was depicted in that kind of ano niya sa mga libro. Iyon ang gusto ko sana na puntahan ng iba, pero pumunta talaga ako kay Jose Abad Santos because yung iba naman, Marcelo S. Del Pilar, Jose Gregorio, si Gregorio died in a battle. But itong helpless Filipino who refused to pledge allegiance to the Japanese, and he was brought to any place in Lanao del Sur. Talagang lumipad ako, then traveled at chopper ako. Malabang. Yeah. Buti pa itong pulis dito. Maganda pagka-training mo. It was the place where he was made to kneel down. Tapos ang umiiyak yung anak niya. Sabi niya, paano ba naman yan? Total, matapos manggira na ito, wala mang ano yan, walang kaulugan. Bakit kaya? Ayaw mong sumuko na lang. At ang sabi niya sa anak niya, according to the books that I've read, son, do not grieve my death, because not every Filipino is given a chance to die for his country. Kaya, I do not know what year was that, my third year or fourth. Araw ng Kagitingan, wala ako doon. Pumunta ako doon sa the place where he was executed. Pumunta ako sa libing niya. Libingan niya. Libingan niya. Yun ang... So, we have little time left to make the correct decisions. The things that we have to do to correct everything. Yung headgear niya is the headgear of tribe na mga Moro. Tausog sa hulo. Yun ang headgear ni Lapu-Lapu. Yun din ang headgear ni
Mr. President, nung quincentennial celebration po, nag-unveil na tayo nung statue ni Lapu-Lapu Ang nag-represent po sa inyo that time, sir, was si E.S. Medialdea, ako at si Senator Bongo. Nagpunta kami doon para
Where was that?
sa Lapu-Lapu, sir. Ka-part of the quincentennial po.
Malaki.
Yung statue. Mas malaki na po.
May malaking statue doon na pinagawa ang City of Lapu-Lapu for the 500th anniversary ng ano.
Kaya ang problema itong dito sa dalawang statue, bakit sinabay nila dyan sa isang lugar? Parang park doon, no? Or whatever. I said, I do not have any qualms against Lapu-Lapu, Magellan. Wala akong we even celebrate events in those times that nandyan si Magellan. Okay man, wala akong problema. But I said, as a matter of principle, I do not want na yung ating national hero number 1 who fought the invaders, Magellan, whose statue now is higher than the statue of Lapu-Lapu. The thing is, I want Lapu-Lapu bigger and higher than Magellan. Kasi nga, una, hero, lumaban siya at pinatay niya. Well, talking about things about killing, does not really matter now. But what matters is the reverence that we should be giving to gaya ng ako, taga Danau ang tatay ko, Cebu. Ito, kayong grandfather ni itong si Nograles, Cebuano. Ang grandmother, si... So, yun ang kung wala na bang iba. Yung pahabol mo, sige. Pero, tawagan mo yung historical commission. Gusto ko, baski hindi matapa. Umpisahan lang, we can reserve a specific sum for the purpose of giving our national hero a higher, lahat. Higher katapangan, higher, yes.
Mr. President, we are on top. We are on track with respect to that. As a matter of fact, one of the most popular award right now is the Lapu-Lapu Award po, given sa mga war heroes, sa mga wounded in actions. And we have given a lot during your administration po.
So, iba, baka autobong mo, kaya pa natin baka
Po, isang magandang...
Simento, unless you want a bronze, but that would not, I don't know. Malakihan mo lang yung mas malaki kay Lapu-Lapu.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yung video siguro ng National Historical. Kung pwede ma-play. Thank you.
Hubarin ang takot sa iyong damdamin, ipamalas ang angking galing. Tumayong buong tapang, harapin ang buhay, akapin